Hi, and welcome to Sierra Snapshots. I'm your host, Cheryl Noble. Today we are going on a birding expedition. And even though it's in the middle of winter in Nevada County, our elevation spans from approximately 1,500 to over 7,000 feet, which means that you can find any outdoor activity you'd like to do, even though it's in winter, so it doesn't have to be about snow. So today wanted to get a little more inside information about some of the winter migrating birds that are here. And my guide today is Rudy Darling, who is a member of the Sierra Foothills Audubon Society, and he's been taking some pictures already. Hi, Rudy.
Hello.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And we came down to the south part of our county because there are several ponds and ducks and migrating geese. So tell us about one of the ponds where we are now.
Okay. In the winter, most of the action, the bird action, is downhill because usually uphill is covered with snow. So this year it's a little different.
A little different, but normally.
Right. And a lot of the migrants that spend the winter around here are waterfowl and raptors.
Which go after the waterfowl. Is that how it works, the food chain?
Yes.
Okay.
And other things, but waterfowl for sure. Where we are right at the moment is the Lake of the Pines wastewater treatment plant, which has several ponds around it, as you can probably see behind us. Mm-hmm. And it has a lot of the species that are typical of many of the ponds around the area. The waterfowl we're seeing here right now is American widgeons, gadwalls, coots, Canada geese. Mm-hmm. There's even a couple of green-winged teal out here at the moment.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Buffleheads.
Yeah. Tell us about the Canada geese, which are striking because they're so large, and how they can fly. They're the ones that do the V formation when they fly?
Most waterfowl will do that.
Oh, okay.
Geese certainly do, and a lot of ducks and various other birds, even ibises will do that. The Canada geese, as their name would suggest, are a bird of Canada in the far north. However, there is a population that breeds locally.
Oh.
And they're here all year round.
Interesting.
But during the winter, that population's augmented by the birds from up north coming to spend the winter, where the water's not frozen and there's some food and there's not snow around.
Right.
So this time of year, they are the most numerous species in the county, pretty much. We know that from 15 years of Christmas bird count data. They are the number one, followed closely by robins as number two.
Wow. So when will they be heading back?
That's a good question. Should
we ask them?
Yeah. When are you headed back?
They look happy.
The ones here, a lot of them probably are nesting here because they do breed right here at the plant. In fact, there's some nesting platforms. We may see them later on our trip this morning.
Interesting.
But the ones that are from up north probably are heading back in March. They may not go all the way back all at once. They'll kind of work their way up and spend some time in Humboldt County, chowing down, and then move up to Vancouver.
So they make stops along the way as they head back. Okay. Do we want to take a look at one of the other ponds and see what we've got going there?
Okay.
Okay.
What we're doing here is trying to find a kind of bird called a rail, in this case a Virginia rail. And you very seldom see them, but you can hear them answering you. They're very interesting birds. They live in this cattail area, And their bodies are very thin, so they can work their way in amongst the cattails. And where you've heard the expression thin as a rail, it actually is referring to these birds, not to a fence rail. And
we could only learn that on a field trip, right? Little tidbits.
Too, it's a classic line for field trips where we're looking for rails. It's perhaps the wrong time of day. They're more likely to answer in the morning and evening, but...
And of course, we've got the honkers. We know what that is.
Mm-hmm. There they go.
Canada.
Earlier we had a great egret fly over as we were walking out to the bridge.
Waterways like this and streams.
All different kinds of birds. You get your herons and egrets, which will eat little fish and frogs and snakes and whatever they can find around the edges of the water. You get birds that are specialists in wetland areas, like in here with these cattails you would get song sparrows. In fact, one just sang just there. You probably didn't pick it up. And red-winged blackbirds will nest in areas like this. There are various waterfowl-like birds, like the coots, and there was the...
What was that?
That was
the
little
Virginia squawk.
Rail answering us.
Okay.
A
few minutes after we put the sound out there to it, but
right, they sometimes take a while to get warmed up.
Okay.
Come on, your testosterone levels going.
You're being recorded. Work with us. And talk a little bit more about the sounds, because I am intrigued. You're a little bit of an expert with identifying and sending out sounds and being able to recognize birds by sounds.
Right. Anyone who does much birding will soon figure out that you hear more birds than you see.
Oh, true.
And so it's sort of a self-defense mechanism. You hear something squeaking at the top of a 200-foot pine tree, and you wonder, what is that? And I did a study once of myself, all the birds I identified on a walk that I did daily for a few weeks, and I found that over 75% of the identifications I made were by sound.
Oh, wow.
And so it's a good skill to have. It's also a useful skill scientifically as well. They do what are called point counts, where you go to a point and you stand and you record every bird you've heard in a 5-minute period or a 10-minute period. Then you move on to the next point. And you do this over and over years, and you can tell what birds are there. In fact, I'm involved with a project with the Sierra Streams Institute, which used to be called Friends of Deer Creek.
Oh, okay.
And they're doing some stream restoration, and they're using these point counts to assess the success of their restoration projects.
Right.
And so I'm glad to finally have an outlet for this esoteric skill I've developed.
Well, when did you get started with bird watching? How long have you been doing it, and what got you interested?
Well, I started when I was in high school, which I will not say when that was. Our family would go to my uncle's house for Christmas, and
where was this?
In Connecticut.
Okay.
And they had bird feeders there, and I was looking at the feeders, and I thought, hey, this is neat. And the next Christmas they gave me Peterson's Field Guide to the Birds.
Oh, great.
And I just took off from there. But and I've sort of been doing it all along as I moved across the country and ended up here. But time out for family and work and all that. And so recently I've taken it up again in the last 10 or 15 years. So.
Any idea of how many different birds you've seen over the course of your bird watching career?
Well, in North America, I think I'm about 540 species.
How many are there in North America?
You can get up into the 900s.
Wow. So you've seen
Yeah, if you
half.
get 600, that's a big deal.
Mm.
I haven't got there yet. I don't do that much traveling. I kind of specialize in Nevada County at the moment.
Right. We've got a specialist. Okay, on to the next pond. I want to see more. I was talking to Rudy about the frustration of hearing a sound or seeing a bird on a branch, but not being able to line it up with my binoculars. And his tip was, tell us again.
Well, you look at the bird, and then you move the binoculars up till they're where you're looking. Now you may have to focus, of course,
but don't lose sight of the bird. Bring the binoculars up to where your eyes
you're
are
looking.
Okay.
Yeah, don't put them up and then try to look.
That's, I guess, what I do.
Although with enough
And then it's
practice,
gone.
that works too. If you've done it enough years.
We're on our last stop of the ponds in South County around Lake of the Pines, and shucks, we didn't see a bald eagle, but we did see some other unexpected. The egret was pretty incredible, the snowy white.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Nice surprise.
right. You don't see those every day.
And that's, I guess, part of going on field trips. You can't always count on something, but there's always the unexpected.
Right. I find that especially in owls, which is one of my specialties.
Oh.
You just never know. Some nights they feel like calling, and some nights they don't. And same thing with the birds. You know, the best food may be over the hill today. And
Well, of all the waterfowl, I have to say my favorite was the buffalo. Bufflehead, the black and white. Absolutely loved that, and I didn't even know that they existed before today.
They do.
They live here all the time?
Just in the winter.
Just in the winter, no wonder.
They
Okay.
breed mostly further north. There are some that will breed in the Sierra Nevada mountains, down at least as far as Quincy area.
Oh, okay.
I've seen them there. I don't think I've seen them breeding in Nevada County.
All right. They're going to be leaving us soon, so I'm glad I got to see them. All right. Our next birding field trip is going to be where, Rudy?
I will go down to the Penn Valley and Bridgeport area
Oh, nice. Okay.
and see what there is to see. There's bald eagles down there too, so don't give
Fingers
up.
crossed. We need to close out our program on bird watching in Nevada County. Unfortunately, the bald eagle took a little hiatus. He's out of town for the weekend. We tried to find the nest, and we think that last year's storm probably took care of that nest. Couldn't find that. But got lots of good information. Did find some very interesting birds.
Yes.
And need some patience.
That's what it takes. It's about location, and timing.
Yes.
You got to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, and take advantage of the field trips that the Sierra Foothills Audubon Society does. Thank you so much. This was a fun outing, and there's lots of bird watching in Nevada County. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Rudy.
Bye.